Hey junkies, how are you? I'm back! Anyway, well, I didn't really go anywhere, but I was wanting to talk to you about something. I had talked to my girlfriend the other day, one of my girlfriends, and she was struggling with this particular thing, and it's my friend. She's single, and she's been single for her whole life, like as far as she has never been married, and she's had a lot of relationships and stuff, and so she's really been struggling with a particular relationship that just ended, and she didn't know how to work through it. And so I was kind of helping her a little bit go through like some inner child work, and also helping her come to terms with what was the reason why she felt like this particular relationship and other relationships that she has been in have all failed. In her perspective, she thinks they've failed. So I wanted to talk about what is fear and how to sail through these negative emotions. Because basically, I mean, you can clump most fear, anger, guilt, jealousy, all these different emotions are basically all negative emotions. So I'm going to preface that as fear because that's what I'm going to kind of talk about. But you could kind of use all of these negative emotions as, collectively in one thing. So, okay, so let's talk about what fear is. Basically, what fear is, or what any negative emotion is basically saying that your inner being, which is you can call it your spirit or the God within you, is looking at the same thing that you're looking at and in disagreement. So say for instance, you would have a relationship and you have this negative emotion of fear, which is, I'm never going to find someone. I'm never going to find, somebody, a companion. I'm never going to find my soulmate, or I'm never going to find that particular person that I love and want to spend the rest of my life with. Okay, so pretend that we're going to use that as an example. And so basically what that is you have this fear of like, I'm never going to find someone. I'm never going to find someone. What am I going to do? I'm going to be alone my whole life. And what that is that's your inner guidance system looking at that same thing but disagreeing with you, because all negative emotion is basically it's a belief system that you have set up, that you have created, because that's all a belief is a thought that you've kept thinking and thinking and thinking over and over and over, and that creates a belief. And so the way that you can get rid of this is you can never get rid of beliefs. So let's just state that right now. You go, oh, I want to get rid of this, and I want to eliminate that out of my life, and I want to get stop thinking about that or whatever. But the only way that you'll ever get rid of a belief is to replace it with a new belief. And so you can't, I look at it like this. It's kind of like I described to my brother one time, is that, how you view things. And I kind of was going through this a lot too with like my transformation and like, becoming a different person and learning through all of these, adverse trials or contrasting things that have been happening to me in my life and stuff. And so I was talking with my brother, and I was telling him, I said, it's kind of like, it's like laying new pipes, so to speak. You don't, and I was explaining this to him because I was using it in the way because he's a well driller and, lace pumps and stuff like that. And so I said, think of it like a pond. And you can have this beautiful working pond, and it's, springs that beautiful water, and it's clear and all that kind of thing, right? And that's kind of what a belief is, right? But what happens if you have these beliefs that start clogging up the pipes in the pond? And so then it can't put, fresh water out all the time. So what you would have to do is you would go in and you would lay more pipes and just block off the pipes that weren't pushing the clean water out any longer, not rip them out and start over and all that kind of stuff, because it's too much work to do that. So what you would have to do is just start a new belief. which is laying new pipes. You just put new pipes in the the lake and go from there, and it'll keep springing up new water. I don't know if that makes any sense or if that was a stupid analogy or what, but I think Abraham Hicks, she talks about how like laying new pipes, and so she gives a good description on that too, on one of her channels. But anyway, so my girlfriend was having this fear, and like she was like, I'm having panic attacks, I'm having anxiety, and I can't deal with this and all that kind of stuff. And I remember, I had never had any kind of, like, I didn't understand anxiety, like anxiety attacks, and like I didn't even know what they really were until like probably 7 years ago. And I was going through some things personally and everything, and I started having panic attacks, and I didn't realize what they were at the time, but I just knew how I felt and what they were making me feel like and stuff. And basically what it was is I had to get a grip on it and realize that having anxiety or that negative emotion is just saying that you're not in alignment with your inner being. And it's, you have a strong desire. A lot of times we'll have a strong desire for something in our life, okay? And so at the time, my strong desire was to have a relationship, with a friend, and also with, I had a strong desire to have a relationship that I felt I could trust, right? And so what I started to do when I noticed that these anxiety attacks started to happen is that it was this momentum of me thinking all of these things and being fear-based with this negative emotion that I wasn't going to ever really be able to have that with this particular person. And it wasn't that that was actually the truth of the matter, but because we get on a momentum and these emotions are just, they're a concoction of beliefs that we have about a particular thing. And so, you get on a momentum and you start going, and that stuff doesn't just stop easily. It takes a lot of focus and it takes a lot of training. And so that's what you have to do, is to learn to train your thoughts. It's like if you're having a negative emotion, it's a beautiful thing to have a negative emotion, because it's your inner guidance system showing you, oh, I haven't cleaned this up completely. I still have a little bit of residue from having distrust in people, or and I've talked about that before in relationships and different things like that. And so my friend's fear and her anxiety, I believe, is stemming from this overriding fear of her thinking that she's never going to find someone, that she's never going to find that relationship that she truly desires. And so, see, it's like she's not up to speed with that particular desire that she has. And it's basically your inner guidance system saying, you're not ready for this, you're not ready for this. But it's a strong desire that you have, but you're really not ready for it. And so we should applaud these negative emotions, because they teach us and they help us to give us a good indication of where we are vibrationally, it's like that saying, you can't, if you ever wonder what kind of people you're hanging around or what you're exuding out into the world, all you have to do is sit and analyze and look for a split second of the kind of people that you're around. So if you're always coming into contact with people that are negative, or if you're always coming into contact with a particular person that's depressed all the time, or sickly all the time, or having all these different kind of problems and issues, or somebody that's a real big gossiper, or somebody that's this or that. I mean, you can name a gazillion things. But if you would realize that you're actually putting that out there, you are actually that kind of person too. And that's kind of hard to look at. And I think too, I've went through that, and I thought, I kind of discussed with you guys a while back about how I was kind of sad because I didn't really have any friends. I mean, I do have friends. I mean, I have you guys and stuff, but like on a social level, I really don't spend a lot of time with anybody except for my parents on occasion, a couple of times a week for 1 hour or something like that. And Jeffrey, And so I was thinking, I was kind of sad. I was like, why aren't I having friends to communicate with or to spend time with or go have a Starbucks, herbal tea or something? And then I started to realize that wasn't such a bad thing after all, because if you're not in alignment with that type of people, those type of people, they won't come into your vicinity. And so that was actually a good little thing that I thought, okay, well, maybe Raquel, you are doing good emotionally, and you are doing good as far as like how you're happy and that sort of thing. And so I don't know if you've noticed that, but if you start to get happy and you're a very, excited person about life, or you're chipper, you're enthusiastic about, how happy and wonderful life is, and it's joyful and blissful and all that, people that don't resonate with that are not going to be in your vibration. They're not going to be in your vicinity for any amount of time if that's not really the energy that they're putting off. And so it's actually congratulatory to me, because I think, oh, you know what? That's okay. That's okay that I'm, don't have those people in my life, because obviously they're not the people that are around me. And so anyway, I don't know. I think I went off to like 3 different subjects, and I just wanted to talk to you, and I hope that cleared up fear, like what fear is. And so basically how I helped my friend was just to say, where was the fear stemming from? Because I think a lot of times we don't sit and take time to take stock and evaluate what's going on in our life. Now, I'm not saying that this is not one thing that you should do, is sit there and focus and really just jab at something that's a negative emotion. It's good if you have a purpose-driven reason for doing it. And that means to kind of, to find out the underneath pinnings of it and where it's stemming from, because that can release a lot of, negative emotions that you may have about particular subjects in your life, or how you're dealing with certain things, or why something keeps coming up all the time. It seems like almost like a habit. If you keep having these same particular issues in your life, it would do some good to sit there and navigate through that and see where that's stemming from. And so I think what my friend realized, and I hope that I helped her to recognize this, is that she continually, in one breath, she's saying, I don't understand why, every man leaves me, and why they always abandon me, or they don't want to have anything to do with me, and and all this. And so when we started diving deep into it, realizing that she had 2 traumatic death experiences of, sorry, I'm always doing that, aren't I? Of losing 2 people that were extremely close to her. And so she said that instead of dealing with those issues at the time of the death, she just shut it down, and she stopped giving herself to people. And so she was never available. So she said, I would always just run from relationships. Like, I would give a certain amount, but then I wouldn't give everything of myself, because I was afraid they would leave me, through death or whatever. And I said, so see, what you're doing basically is you are doing exactly, it's a mirror image of what people do to you. Men are doing to her. They're leaving her, not giving all of themselves to her. And so I just thought that was very telling and very eye-opening. And anyway, so I think once you recognize the things that are happening, you can start to then work through those things. And I hope this has served you. I think I'm going to talk about anxiety and jealousy next, because I think those would be some really good topics as well. So as always, I hope this served you. I hope you're having a great day. And as always, I'm yours until my next swim. Ciao.